Samsung. Samsung has been around for decades, and which started around post-war South Korea. Before, they were only making normal furniture things such as fridges and whatnot. But over the years, they've expanded more into, well, more commercial products, such as phones, for example. As we can see here, in this video, I will be comparing the original Galaxy S1 from 2010. This was not the first phone they made, but their first phone in the Galaxy S series, and I will be comparing it with my current Galaxy S22 from 2022. The first things we're going to do first is compare the UIs of both of them. This uses a very old version of Android. And how old the design is, because the charger port is actually on top of the phone, not at the bottom, as it is with my current phone and almost every other phone after the S1. Now, we are going to compare each of the UIs. As we can see from the original Samsung Galaxy S from 2010, its original UI is about the same as it was right at its launch, as it was from an age before big software updates would change huge parts about your phone. And we can see here that from a lot of the older applications, such as the camera app there and the messages app, they were using more real life photos, trying to be more that realistic kind of style. That was a common thing with tech back in 2010. And its version is only on 2.2 kernel. It's a very old Android. And we can even see before the original iteration of the application app, it used to be just a list. But unlike when in the next version of the phone, it was completely different. S22 though, thanks to being a lot different and more newer, has a lot more newer features for it. Such, for example, a fingerprint sensor that allows it to easily go into apps, and also because that's something that has been around since that, but has been improved now, is a thing such as widgets. As you can see here, for example, I can select it and go into my apps forum. The new UI is also a lot more smoother, and you can also change the smoothie rate in the developer options if you wish to, due to its higher RAM and CPU. We can also see, look how much more smooth. Also, and it's running a much more newer version, including a newer thing that Samsung put out some years ago called One UI. Before that, Android was using a slightly different version on Samsung, a slightly different version of Android for their phones, before they released their own One UI version. Now we're going to talk about the specs of the phones. The original Samsung S was much more smaller than the current normal S22 is. But still, despite that, it did have a good screen, as it was running AMOLED, which has been something that is used in almost every single Samsung phone, and is a common feature of all of them. Its only uses a 1 GHz Cortex A8 CPU with a Hummingbird chipset, as this was not the era of when Snapdragon was huge or did not really exist as much. It's only 4 inches, the phone, making it a lot smaller than you would find nowadays. Also on these phones, it has a headphone jack right at the top there, which is something that phones don't do anymore due to the age of Bluetooth, which kind of sucks sometimes. Its camera is only a 5 megapixel camera, making it very, very limited with a 720p at 30 FPS video. It's pretty good for its age, but with an 8 gig with a 512 RAM, it's very low, with only up to 16 gigabytes of space on it normally, without any expansion packs. That's really about it. It's got a one of the good things about old Samsung phones though is its ability to have removable battery packs, which all you would have to do is simply remove it, and then you could simply just take it in and out a lot more easier than it is nowadays, due to all the glass and metal on the backs of them that require unsoldering the glue to take it off of. And onto the Samsung. The Samsung is a lot more durable than new ones, with it weighing about only 50 grams more than the original one, weighing 167 net. But also a lot more better. It comes with armor aluminium frame with a tougher and scratch resistant screen and back. It's also dust and water resistant up to 1.5 meters of water for half an hour. It still uses an AMOLED screen, but an AMOLED 2X with 120 Hz at HDR10 Plus at 1300 nits at its peak. It is 2.1 inches larger than the S1, ranging at 6 inches, or an 87.4% screen to body ratio, with a lot more better screen thing with 1080 times 340 pixels rates compared to the S1's 480 times 800 pixels. It also uses, obviously, like I said before, a much more bigger US. It uses an Exo 204mm that with its a Quadrum SM8450 Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Its CPU is an octa-core with a GPU using Eclipse 920 for Europe, or Adreno 730 for the rest of the world. It has up to 128 gigs and 128 gigs of space, 8 gigs of RAM normally, but can go up to about 2 terabytes of space if you really want to. It's a 50 megapixel wide camera, which you can see here, with 3 of them for different views and modes, at 23 millimeters wide. And the other ones range from 10 to 12 megapixels for certain other features on the camera. And that is about it. We can obviously see from the range of these two phones how much more different they are, and how much bigger or smaller they are. And obviously we can tell that the Samsung's came a long way from its original design. Obviously by having a charger port moving down to the bottom to make it easier and not having to interfere with that, including the removal of the home buttons to make it simpler with just touchscreen controls and not having to wait for any infernal button responses. I'd like to thank you all for watching.